Right then, everybody, it's Manchester derby time tomorrow. United are facing a frankly ridiculously informed Manchester City team. 21 wins on the bounce. Now, United have got a decent little record as well. We're unbeaten in 21 away Premier League games, winning 13 and drawing 8 of those. So someone's 21 has to come to an end tomorrow. United have drawn our last 3 matches 0-0, which tells you that maybe we're becoming a little bit harder to score against, but we're also not quite finding our form up front. We've never drawn 4 in a row goalless. The last Premier League side to do so was Spurs 20 years ago. So I'm not anticipating that we managed to do a 0-0 at City this week, but stranger things have happened. Only Arsenal have gone longer away unbeaten run when they went 23 without defeat between August 2001 and 2002, and 27 without a defeat when they went on their drawing spree that they like to call. City's recent results, 4-1 against Wolves, which was a very good game. At one point, it looked like Wolves might get something out of the game, and then City just went through the gears, absolutely blew them away. 2-1 against West Ham and 2-1 against Borussia Mönchengladbach. Unbeaten in 28 in all competitions, and they won all 21 of their last 21 games. And it's not just the fact that they're grinding victories out. It's a lot of clean sheets amidst some very, very good performances. They haven't even trailed for a single minute of the last 19 Premier League games, and if they don't fall behind in this game, it will be a new record. Again, beating an Arsenal record. We went 19 between December 98 and May 1999. Pep has mixed his formations up a little bit this season, which is way more than he normally does, but I do fully expect them to be in the 4-3-3 that they've sort of been typical of lately. Ederson will be in goal. It'll be Kyle Walker at right back and João Cancelo, who is in the form of his life, at left back. John Stones and Ruben Diaz have formed a seriously formidable partnership between the two of them, and I would anticipate they're going to be at centre-half. He also has Laporte on the bench should he wish to use him. Rodri, I expect, will be in the 6 with Gundogan, who's one of the league's leading scorers so far in 2021, and Kevin De Bruyne likely alongside or slightly ahead of him. Again, if Guardiola fancies something different, he's got the likes of Phil Foden and Bernardo Silva that can also step in if needed, as if to sort of illustrate the strength in depth that Manchester City possesses, unparalleled in world football. The front three generally picks itself with Mahrez on the right, Raheem on the left, and Jesus through the middle, although Aguero is back and could be on the bench. Again, when you go, why haven't City been affected by the pandemic like everyone else? Here's why. The star man for City is definitely going to be Kevin De Bruyne. He's elite. He's one of the best midfielders in world football. Hasn't really missed a beat during his injury layoff. This season, he's provided 16 assists in 27 appearances. Created 64 chances with 2.37 per 90. He's been directly involved in 11 goals in the last 16 games, with 2 goals and 9 assists. And since his Premier League debut in 2013, he's registered 77 assists, which nobody comes close to. And we all know his quality, and it will definitely be down to United to limit time and space he gets on the ball if we're going to have any hope of trying to stop City. Now, for me, the way United do that is Ollie has to go back to the Ollie of old. He has to go back to being without the ball, United. United have transitioned of late to being an in-possession side. And while I think all of us would probably prefer it, if that's what we transition to in the main, I think we found much more success by being a counter-attacking side. And certainly in the bigger games, I think it suits the personnel that we've got a lot better. So how are I lining up? We're going 3 at the back. Dean Henderson will be in net. He's got the next half a dozen games or so to prove that he can be the number 1 at the club. And then I'm going Baye, Maguire and Lindelof as a back 3, with Wan-Bissaka and Shaw as the wing-backs, who will very much likely be a back 5 a lot of the time in this formation. McTominay and Fred, you know it's going to be. So you might as well just get used to it being them now, with Bruno, Rashford on the left-hand side of Cavani up front. How and why this formation is going to work? Well, there's 2 reasons. You kind of have to win the midfield battle. You kind of have to force them wide. The way you force them wide, the way you win the midfield battle, straight at the back. City had an enormous amount of success by pressuring the United back four. They went man for man with their forward six. They completely destroyed United in that sense. So United mixing it up, adding an extra man into that defence, taking an extra man away from us in attack. It doesn't matter because Cavani and Rashford are probably going to be 1v1 on the centre house anyway because the fullbacks do push up so much. United have to do what we did of old, which is transition quickly into attack, get the ball at the feet of Marcus Rashford and get in behind where there will be acres of space. You have to do that fast, you have to do that aggressively, you have to do that quick. The way you stop City's forward three, you have to imagine it's not really a forward three, it's a forward five with a little bit of variation in terms of depth. Both Kevin De Bruyne and Gundogan ghost into the sort of half space in between the fullbacks and the centre halves when you play in a back four. If you play a back three, it kind of goes man for man then. It doesn't allow the overlap. And if you play McTominay and Fred just in front, that's also shoring it up because they'll bring their fullbacks into play as well, which means your fullbacks can go 1-for-1 against the fullbacks, and then you can go with your centre-halves and your two midfielders against their five forwards. It means you can go man for man. Ideally, you always want an extra man in defence if possible. It's not going to be always possible, especially when teams just start to pour men forward. You do have to leave attacking options open, and you do have to try and hope that you can squeeze in when it's on one side and maybe leave someone a little bit unmarked while you deal with the areas that are likely to be dealt with. Like for example, if the ball's in Shaw's side, in Shaw's half of the pitch, in Shaw's sector, Wan-Bissaka, rather than marking Sterling tight, he might leave Sterling in space and come and sit on Gundogan and make sure that United have got that extra man. Probably one of the three centre-halves, potentially Maguire, if he's going to be the one that's marshalling the back line. For me, the back three against Manchester City makes perfect sense because they're going to overwhelm you. So you go to a back three. United have looked great playing a back three. We haven't done it often, but we do generally look pretty good when we go to a back three. And it still gives us an absolute fantastic chance to hit on the counter. Bruno, Cavani and Rashford, there's quality in there, there's pace in there, there's goals and there's match winning in there. United can definitely cause City problems with that sort of team. McTominay and Fred, you're going to have to work hard, you're going to have to cover ground, and again, I believe in them to do that. When the ball's further up the pitch, United have to try and strike. The transition is going to be everything for United. In the recent derby wins, we've seen that United have tried to press from the front, force errors at the back, and it has worked to pretty decent effect. Using the energetic players that we've got in the transition across the middle, your Fred and McTominay ideally, it could be key to catching City's much improved defence this season. United needs to use all our attackers to apply as much pressure as possible to the City defence and make it difficult for them to play out. They're still probably going to do it because they're very good footballers. Diaz and Stones have looked fantastic, but neither of them are blessed with pace, and I don't think they could match United's quickest attackers. If possession's won, a quick little switch of play, a quick through ball, something even over the top to chase down into a channel, and I think United could do it. That's United's best chance of getting an opening, and to force them into the wide areas, to force them into the channel where United can double up on them and try and prevent a cross coming in, that's what you got to do. So the key to stopping a possession-based team is just to force them into the wide areas, and not the wide areas in behind the defence, in front of the defence, wide. Stop them there. Keep it compact, which is why you go with three across the middle. It allows your fullbacks to be a little bit more gung-ho and a little bit more opportunity to dive in, if you like, and be a bit risky when trying to win a ball. City probably going to use a midfield three. No shocks there with everybody, and they probably have two advanced players ahead of a single holder who's going to look to create chances with movement, passing, deception on the edge of the box. Whenever Guardiola's sides are struggling to find an opening, you start to see them literally just phasing it side to side to side, probing. And if you've got a back four, you can really start to stretch a back four. It's all about the spaces. It's all about the distances. If the centre-halves get too far away from the fullbacks, that's where those gaps open up. Adding just one extra man into the middle of that really shores it up. Really shores it up and becomes very, very difficult to try and find the gaps in there then, because that extra man is usually not necessarily marking somebody, so he's usually got his eyes open and he's usually not under as much pressure. So for me, that's the key for this in United. We are going to have to go into a low block, and I think if we we can hold that defensive shape, the midfielders can put the energy in front and screen that back three, then I think we can really do it. There's no real target man to aim for them in the box, which means that United could have, Maguire, Baye, all on the pitch, all forcing City out wide, a little bit like we did against Villa, and I think that could be a little bit effective and potentially even come away with the 3 points if we can do it. United have got the ability to do this. It's whether they've got the belief to do this and whether they've got the energy to do this, because the last few performances have been so lackluster. But what a win it would be. That's how I think it's going to go down. Let me know in the comments. Do you agree with my team selection? Do you agree with my areas that I think we should focus on? Again, let me know, and I'll see you in the next one. Laters.